Hey there, it's Ryan Speltz, and welcome back to another awesome episode of the REConnect Podcast. Today, I've got Wyatt Hawkins with me, and I'm super excited. This dude is a ball of fun, and I'm super excited to have him on. I asked him about what his purpose is, and he said his purpose is to make anyone's life he comes across better. And man, you definitely do that in very much your own way, and I appreciate the heck out of that. So I'll pass it over to you and kind of ask you like, how did you get to that as your kind of main purpose? Like where did that kind of come from?
Yeah, sure thing. So thanks so much for having me on the show, Ryan. I really appreciate it. Yeah, we've all been chatting. I don't know if how much background everybody knows from the viewers, but we were in a big group chat with a lot of real estate professionals all around the nation, always kind of hyping each other up and staying up on the market. So yeah, I appreciate you reaching out and having me on the show. So yeah, my purpose of coming across anybody I come across improving their life and trying to make it better. Where it really started, it's probably just when I was a child, really. We grew up in a pretty religious household, and that there's a lot of, religion can open a whole can of worms in all sorts of different areas, and people focus on different parts of it. But the part I really honed in on growing up, and the part that my parents really, pushed on me was to be kind to others. And so with that, I've kind of taken that and tried my best to live my life as kind as possible. Now, it doesn't always work out, everybody has a short fuse sometimes, and we all make mistakes, and we can be immature growing up, but uh ultimately, I found that as I was continuing to grow up and be kind to others and just try to make everyone my friend, I would get like little dopamine kicks, of just making all sorts of different friends on the playground, and I would just be very outgoing and walking up to like literally anybody and introducing myself and seeing what I can do to, make them happy. And as I've grown up, I haven't really lost that side of me of trying to be kind to others and improve their lives. So, like I said, I think it really started when I was a child, and then from there, it continued on in junior high. We all kind of go through our own little things. And so I was definitely a bit more withdrawn then. I kind of went in a little bit. I was a bit of an emo kid, grew out my hair and angsty with the world, all that good stuff. I still was kind to others, but I wasn't as outgoing. And also, those years you're a bit more emotional too, a bit more temperamental. So yeah, definitely some failures throughout that time period. But we work through that, we get better, and we reflect. And then I'd say around junior year of high school, I was back on my, normal Wyatt outgoing happy self, and we were good to go. With that, I've kind of continued to carry that on. Oh, I'm so sorry, Ryan. I have a phone call right now. Are you able to cut a sec? I mean, I just
Yep,
gotta get that, click it,
yep,
and I'll be right back. I'm so, so sorry.
no problem.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, three, two, one.
So yeah, as I got to junior in high school, I kind of got back on track there, and really kind of became my happy outgoing self again. So as we progressed from there, I kind of had a good idea of who I was. And I then moved on, college, all that good stuff. That shaped me quite a bit. I actually went to school to be a speech language pathologist before going to become a realtor. And my once again, the driving force behind that, speech language pathologist, for those who don't know, work with those who have an inability to communicate effectively. So that can be a communication disorder where like literally they just cannot get their articulate their thoughts. So that can be like individuals who have a certain type of dementia who literally cannot produce speech, or maybe they say something like the paint can was out for a run today, and what they really mean is like I love you, but like it comes out like that. And so I really attached myself to the idea of helping those individuals and thought it'd be a really rewarding experience to be able to work with individuals struggling like that and change their life and help them communicate. Unfortunately, it wasn't my cup of tea. So I did that. I went to college for about 4 years there, and then did it 1 year of grad school. And yeah, I was miserable there. I was working myself to the bone, and I wasn't passionate about. what the work I was doing. So with that, we stepped out, dropped out of grad school. We went to, after that, I got a job just anywhere. Went with Michigan Department of Health and Human Services, did that for a little bit. And then, you know, the nice thing was I still kind of was focused on helping others. Even at the Department of Health and Human Services, that was actually really cool because I know there were a lot of people who might not have been able to qualify for some programs, but a lot of my coworkers there, unfortunately, were very much of the mindset, do the least amount of work possible and don't go the extra mile. And yeah, so I know for a fact that I was able to help some people qualify that would not have qualified or assisted them in some way where they wouldn't have gotten the assistance they needed. So, I guess I'm not necessarily answering why I have this arching like drive to do this, but I do, and I've really carried it out throughout my life. So after, my DHHS, I COVID hit and kind of reevaluated my life a little bit, and I started thinking of what I actually wanted to do with the rest of my life. And I started learning about real estate a little bit, real estate investing, and I was like, wow, okay. I knew it was time for me to start kind of focusing on my retirement, stuff like that, to make sure I'd be set up 30 years down the road. And the more I learned about real estate, the more I was like, this is a really good fit for me. As I'm big extroverted person who loves hanging out with people, can talk all day and loves meeting people, and also who doesn't like looking at houses? That stuff's awesome. And another great thing about real estate is it's literally a service job. My job is to help my clients. So with that, I can once again go through and have that personal touch of ensuring that whoever's life I'm coming across, whether it is my clients or the clients across the side from me on the listing agent side, I can ensure that all of them come across and leave my life better than before I had met them.
Yeah, I
And
think even just with your little bit, we haven't had too much interaction. Obviously, like we said, we're in a big group, so one-to-one interaction doesn't happen all that often. But even in that little time frame that, I've kind of got to know you a little bit, your expression of like wanting to help or even just brighten somebody's day just a little bit, like your morning picture every day. I know that's a part of your accountability piece of getting up early, but
right,
that just that piece of just that little hint of that extra, like, hey, I can make somebody smile pretty inadvertently there, and it doesn't take much, right? And so
exactly.
driving to a higher force there for yourself of being able to be the expert. And you mentioned that with the I think you said DFFS is how you were the four letters, right? Was that
Oh,
DFHS?
DHHS? Wait,
That's
right,
it. I couldn't
the
remember
state of
the
Michigan? Yeah,
acronym.
Department of Health and Human Services. Yeah,
There we go.
totally. No, you're
Yeah.
good. You're
So
good.
with that, you were even saying like you're taking that extra step and just making sure that the people that deserve to be helped are helped, and that's a huge thing in real estate as well.
Hmm.
And me being on the lender side, I completely understand that because sometimes they come in the door and they got a 500 credit score, and everybody goes, nope, that's fine, pass them off. And instead of actually taking 10 minutes and just working with those people and helping them, create a better future for themselves. So that's awesome. How are you
Exactly. Yeah.
applying some of the stuff that you learned in, whether it's the speech pathology specifically or just the aspect of communication? How are you applying that stuff into your business to make sure that you're helping people that way?
Yeah, so, I wouldn't say I necessarily think of it as like, oh, this is like a piece I can rope in from speech path. I think it's more just like how it has influenced my life and changed me in such an irreversible way, where I am just like so much more focused on like, individuals who need extra assistance, minorities or people struggling with, who just have more hardships than others, less privileged people. So I think just that I think I've got a better idea of putting myself in somebody else's shoes and understanding their perspective and how they might see things differently. And with that, it allows me to relate to them a little bit better, build rapport with them easier, and ultimately understand their situation and their life and their problems better. And then we can then come to a better solution together for what works for them. There isn't really a one size fits all for speech path where this is what you got to do, and this is the treatment for it. It's very much person by person basis. And I think, as weird as it sounds, real estate's kind of the same thing. There are some generic things where it's like, yeah, conventional FHA loans, whatever, you kind of put them in those little boxes. But sometimes it might make sense for somebody to do an FHA loan, even if they can qualify for a conventional loan. Or there's people who don't even know about a lot of the products out there, like an equity forward loan, maybe where you can, get into another house before even selling yours, or MISHDA, RD loans, all that stuff. So that's another thing I've really enjoyed too, where I kind of have taken over from my speech path side. A big part of that is educating individuals. So with that, have really enjoyed just being able to sit down with my clients, educate them not only on different products and what's best for them or what I feel is best for them, but also being able to talk about the statistics and really delve into, okay, this is like what houses are selling for. This one went for 20,000 and sat on the market for 2 days, and this was a month ago. This went 25,000 and this was last week. So you can see things are going up, all that stuff, really delving into the stats and ultimately getting them into wherever they want to be even sooner. So once again, that all kind of just stems from my wanting to help them, help make their life easier, because I know nobody, I shouldn't say nobody likes this process, but because I think how what very often happens is people start out so excited to go look at houses, and then they realize how horrible it is trying to get your offer accepted in this seller's market. And they can be so demoralizing for them. And so, another aspect that I like to do is just try to make this as fun and as peppy and enjoyable as possible, because it's going to wear down most people. So I got to be there to be their little cheerleaders and celebrate with them, and console them when we lose some things too. So
Yeah, and I think I can just feel it through where, a lot of times, especially, with us being on social media as much as we are, we can see in those groups, the real estate groups are, people are asking like, where do you get your clients? Who are the clients? Like how do you get leads? And all that says to me is those people are just like searching for the next place to go make money. Whereas
mhm.
yours, you're focusing on this piece, but you're also connecting with them and becoming the expert and actually helping them through it, which is the biggest difference that and why I asked you to be on, because I can recognize all of that stuff through you, and your messaging is it's consistent that way. That's such a big part of developing a better real estate business, is making that connection. And from what you just told us, you definitely take that route of like, let me connect with you, and then I'll actually become the expertise for what you actually need, instead of just being that cookie cutter real estate agent.
Right, exactly. Every person's different, and I want to do, what works best for them. So, you know,
Awesome.
s- yeah.
So what that you've kind of been talking about helping people is kind of what the whole idea is to make everybody's life a little bit better. But I want to know, like, what sets you on fire, Wyatt? Like, what do you get up in the morning and get excited for? Like, what really gets you going?
Oh man. So I guess with that, just like what am I the most excited for in anything in life? Or are we talking like successes and business related? Are we talking like personal relationships? I guess what specifically?
If you were to say, like, let's, and it's, sometimes it's difficult to kind of tier these things, but if you were to say one thing that, like, if you could get up every day and just focus on that one thing, what would be the excitement factor for you? Whether it is business or in life, it doesn't really matter, but just like something that you're like, yep, that's what I want.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a boring generic answer because it's kind of what I've been talking about. It's just helping people, what, even if it's not real estate related, I just really enjoy, like I said, that dopamine kick of going over, solving somebody's problem, making their life a little bit easier. So it's like I don't really know of what specific, route that would come in. I think my favorite thing is when I can educate others, as I had mentioned earlier to you, build that relationship, be able to joke with them as well. But ultimately, just like getting out of bed and being like, oh yeah, I can go help somebody today. That's awesome, man. And then ideally, if we can do something fun while I'm helping them too, that's even awesomer. So in this case, real estate, we're going over and we're seeing houses. How cool is that? I've seen so many unique houses in the last, over 3 years where I've been doing in this that like I wouldn't even know existed. There's like this one I went down, there's like a full maze built downstairs. Like what are these people doing? But it's a unique experience, and it was really fun to get to see that with my clients. Um, so yeah, I mean, and I've even thought about like w retirement. What would I want to do? I'm one of those big guys who like really likes to have fun, really likes to see people smiling. So like I could see myself someday maybe doing like a Disney job where I'm like out there just like giving people beverages and like making sure they're having the best vacation ever, something like that, where everybody's just so smiling around me, and anybody who isn't, I can find a way to make them happy as well.
Yeah, that's a great way to look at it. And you mentioned a couple different avenues there, which is what we all want, right? Like we're able to apply what we want to do across different avenues. And right now
Right.
your focus is on the real estate piece, and that'll be a long-term thing, obviously. But like being able to apply an outside thought to the real estate industry instead of just like, how do I find houses to sell to people? Like
Mhm.
that's what that brings out of you, is just like it's truly a core piece. It's not just like I'm in this for to be able to sell the houses, which is
Totally.
awesome.
And that brings up a great point too, because a big part of my job is cold calling, and it's not fun for anybody. And it was really discouraging for me at first to overcome that barrier where it's like, gosh, I'm picking up the phone and these people hate that I'm on the other line, you know? They're like, I am just a nuisance to these people. But if I make 110 calls and then the 111th person picks up and they're like, "Oh my gosh, thank you for calling me." Like my other agent didn't do anything. They stuck a sign in my yard and I haven't even heard from them in 2 months. I would love for you to come over here and take a look at my property, let me know what I can get from it. Those are the ones where it's like, "Oh my gosh, thank you. This makes me so happy to get out of my bed and, you know, makes me know I chose the right profession." Another great example, I was working with somebody for a year and they've been looking all over the place for a house, throwing out all sorts of different offers. We were driving like literally all over Michigan up to like Sheboygan or down to like Parma, wherever. So like hours away. And we finally got an offer accepted last week. And I was on such a high for like 2 days on that, being like, oh my gosh, yes, this guy is finally going to be able to move in with his family. He's got 4 children. So it's like, man, that's so amazing that he's finally going to be able to get to move in there and really enjoy his life.
Yeah, I feel like sometimes we should just all write books about our careers, and when we have those scenarios, we got to remember them and lock them away so that when you're making those 109 calls or 110 before that 111th picks up, you're like, okay, this is why
Yeah.
it's there. This is why it's there.
Yeah.
And getting that personal reward along with helping somebody, get into that reward of not, and something that, they may not have even thought would be possible for themselves, which is, it's really cool to turn that corner with somebody and
I
be able to
love
help
that.
them out. So yeah.
Yeah, when they don't
Uh,
even think of it as a possibility. Very cool.
yeah, I mean, it's so common of like, there's I'm at like almost 200 transactions as a lender over, 10 years or whatever it is now. And it's like people are just like, I don't know. I don't think I've ever approached the idea of this until, somebody said something. And then it was like, and
Mhm.
you made it happen, or you helped me make it happen. And, like, no, you're the superhero. I'm just Robin. Like, you're Batman. I'm just Robin. I'm just hanging out over here,
Yeah.
just putting the pieces together for you. So that's awesome, man. I appreciate, telling that story is really cool. So I'm gonna ask you the big question, and I did prepare you a little bit beforehand. When I
Yep.
started the
Thank you.
podcast, I was just kind of springing it on people, and people would get like, we just sit here and stare at each other of like, okay, now I got to
Totally.
think about this. But so if you could, if kind of work on one global problem or be able to fix it or be able to at least make an impact on that, what would that global problem be for you?
Yeah, great question. I think that right now, for me personally, I really resonate with mental health right now, and so I'm so sorry about that. Um,
So just go three,
you-
two, one, and then reset yourself.
okay.
3, 2, 1.
Yeah, so I really would like to focus on, mental health awareness right now. That's super important to me. That was actually something I struggled with quite a bit. I've suffered with anxiety and depression on and off for quite a while now. And with that, I think that that is such an issue in our society right now. And that would ideally be where I would like to focus. As somebody who is a people pleaser who likes to help people, I hate seeing people so devoid of emotion and just kind of trudging through life unhappy. I think I just saw the other day where it's like we've had like more suicides in the last year than like ever, which is terrifying. That's so messed up. And, if I can do something to help, reduce that number, that's huge. And I think a big part of that would just be mental health awareness and being able to talk more about that with people who are struggling. So, specifically, what it would be, I guess, what problem I would like to address is just, yeah, I guess specifically depression. I would like to reduce that somehow. And I'll be honest, I don't know how I would go about doing it. I really liked Sean Aker. Have you heard of him before? Yeah, he's great. I've been doing some of the things he recommends where you're just like writing like three new great things that have happened to you every single day. I started doing that at the beginning of this year too, right around the time I started sending my 6 a.m. snapshots out. So
Yeah.
uh yeah, that's just another great thing where maybe I could encourage more people to do that, compliment each other, have more grace for each other, stuff like that. Where I mean, obviously, I could research this stuff more too, but ideally, just find a way to reduce depression if possible.
Yeah, well, and even with Sean and I was at the event as well that you were at
Yeah.
in Phoenix. So with Sean Accor there and his presentation of
Oh, Sean, of
his
course.
TED
Sorry.
his no his it's I'm sure he's been called all the names in the book because his name looks like Anchor, but it's all good. But the that piece of just smiling and like you do
Mhm.
that really well. And like I said,
Thanks.
like I could tell through the interwebs about that piece. And so really like you mentioned the three gratitude things, which is an awesome step for an individual to take. And then impacting outward, it's just that
Mhm.
smile piece that you do really well. And just making sure that if you're able to walk by someone and smile, they're going to return the smile, whether they do it on their face or in their head, it's still happening.
Mhm.
And so, that can be a very easy way for, for you and for others to impact the world in that regard. So I appreciate you sharing that as a passion with us. It's something that's near and dear to me as well. So that's a very, great direction to set that goal in. So Wyatt, I appreciate you being on with us today. I think we've got some great stuff here. You're an inspiring person. You've been through a good amount, and being able to kind of stack up those stories with your clients is going to be really, really cool going forward. And I'm looking forward to seeing some of that stuff come out from you as well. So thanks for being here.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me on, Ryan. I really appreciate it. So yeah, thanks again. Let me know if you ever want me back on again, or if there's anything else I can do to help you out.